Warning, this podcast contains spoilers.
And clowns.
You beat me to it. Hello everybody, and welcome to another episode of the ASOTV podcast. This one for American Horror Story Cult, Episode 1, Election Night. I'm your host Mike, and joining me is Dom and Jacob.
How's it going?
Hello.
Oh, I like it, Jake. I like it.
I'm just going to be looking up here for the whole podcast. Up here. Yeah. Great makeup job.
Yeah, so this is my clown alter ego, Lolly Cherry Pop.
Oh. Okay.
Alright. I dig it.
Mm-hmm.
So I wasn't sure what to expect this season. I mean, every season opens with some, typical horror trope like, oh, there's aliens, or, oh, there's a whole group of witches, there's people dying, there's all this craziness, and this one opens with, we just had a shit show of an election, and it's like we just had a year of political, political circus.
Warfare. Yeah,
it was a warfare and circus, and, it ends, and it's just like, oh.
So, going into the season, we knew it was going to deal with the election in some way, shape, or form. And that concerned me. Not for any reason other than as soon as a TV show or a TV series picks a side in politics, they drastically alienate their fan base.
They can, yeah, because, I mean...
one side or the other is unhappy with it, and then they completely stop supporting it.
Politics is fairly polarizing in this country, and it's just been bad lately.
Yeah. And to be honest, this is a great topic for a horror story, because it could, I don't want to get into the actual politics of it, because this show has not, and that's what I absolutely loved about it, is they didn't get into direct political things. It was more, they got into the reactionary of the world as opposed to the actual politics side of it. And that's what I really liked about it. Because we have aspects of both sides. We have anti-Trumpers and we have Trump supporters. So they have both of their bases covered.
And some people in the middle, the people who
yeah,
don't vote.
They got some middle people in there.
So they have their bases covered, right? So they're not swaying to one side or the other.
Nope.
And then they're still able to get little jabs in that aren't like blatant, like I'm picking a side thing, like the with it's gonna take me a minute to get characters' names, but
actress. Go with actor.
The boy. I don't remember his name.
Boy.
Kai.
Oh, Evan Peters.
Kai. Yeah, Evan Peters.
Yeah.
Kai, I think his name is.
It is Kai.
With the Cheetos. You know, the Cheeto face, like the literal Cheeto face was brilliant.
After humping the shit out of his television.
Yeah. So,
which is why Trump. I don't know why you didn't market the shit out of this, because you could pull a Coco Montrese, and get Dorito and a Cheeto compact. It's a literal Cheeto Dorito foundation that you could put on your face, and it makes your face has a nice orange glow.
I mean, I agree with you, Dom, on this. That I'm happy they didn't take a stance. I mean, if they took a stance, this was a shit show. Both sides could have done better.
Yeah,
is pretty much the only stance they took. And
I mean, this is still, keep in mind, this is still early. Like they could dive into one political side or the other later on, but right now I'm actually really impressed with the way they handled it.
Yes. So they open up with two side-by-side reactions cutting back and forth. One is the aforementioned Kai humping his television and grinding Cheetos down and making himself a nice mask to freak out his sister.
The stereotypical Trump supporter.
Yeah. And then we have Allie and Ivy, who are the complete opposite. Allie had what we've seen in the, all over the news as the snowflake reaction, burst out into tears, and
a stereotypical snowflake.
I did facepalm a little at that, but people are annoyed, people are pissed. She's completely distraught and seems inconsolable. And I mean, the neighbor Tom Chang, I think was his name. He has a great point. Like, he's like, hey, it was, people didn't vote. People, voted for other people. It was a swing, small margin. Like, basically like
10,000 votes.
It was close, was their whole thing. But,
I mean, no, it's just little things. It's all hindsight at this point. It's like, well, you should have done this. You should have done that. Well, your vote does make a difference, but you are one person, and sometimes you make the difference. Sometimes you don't. And so, like, the dude for like blaming his wife for the whole damn thing. He's like, you were so busy on Etsy that you didn't vote. Like, dude, it's not her fault. She's part of the problem, but it's not her fault.
Yeah, she's part of the problem. I mean, if there were 20,000 other ladies like her out there, bit too busy on Etsy to go vote, then yeah, sure, great. But I did cringe a little at that scene.
But really, Etsy?
Yeah, I know. Really, come on,
bitch. Really?
No. See, they're trying to push forward the fact that these are all liberals in the room.
Yep.
Like, I read a review of this about 2 hours ago now, and they said, like, we have Evan Peters playing Kai, the stereotypical nut job who supposedly voted for Trump, and then we have Sarah Paulson and Allison Pill playing Allie and Ivy, and they're the typical lesbian liberal elite. I'm just like, okay, sure, great, name it that, but I mean, I had a point. It's gone. Let's just dive right into Allie. The whole election, like, just brought all of a bunch of, I guess I could say, psychological problems out that she was managing.
Yeah, all the problems.
Like, the first one we see is... I mean...
Thanks, Obama.
I know, right?
Sorry, somebody...
We'll come back to this. We will come back to this because... a small tangent is going to lead right into it. Twisty the fucking clown. Did you miss him?
I knew he was coming back this season, and that's what really got me more interested before it aired. I just didn't know he was going to be in the first episode,
Doing the same shit. Interrupting people's picnics, murdering them while they're trying to bone.
It's not him, really. So, like, we have this, what looks like a flashback. And you have these kids doing the thing out in public.
It didn't look like a flashback. It looked like present day.
Well, it did look like present day, but, like, here's the thing. They were in 50s attire. So when I saw that, I knew that this was like either a movie or like some kind of retelling of like Twisty, because what they were wearing were giving us essence of the 50s, but they're not period accurate.
And they did mention, this is where Twisty died like 50 years ago or something like that. So
the whole flashback is moot because she pulled a smartphone out of her pocket to dial 911.
Yeah, and I'm like, this is like a movie or something, but it's not. It's a comic book, but still, someone wrote a book on Twisty.
Twisty the clown. And that's what the kid Ozzy is reading. And, Allie's reaction of, a picture of a bare breast or an erect penis never hurt anybody. That's
fine.
That's fine, yeah. I mean, he's 9, a little early, I get it, but, hey, it's a new generation.
They're more modern parents.
Yeah, they're more modern parents. And then out comes the comic book, and, I'm like...
She almost fell down the stairs and everything. Like, this bitch is afraid of everything. I don't even think she was afraid of the clown. She was afraid of the damn paper. It was non-organic that it was printed on. She's afraid of, like, holes. She's afraid of, like, drywall,
I wrote it all down. She went to her therapist. And she has a crippling fear of clowns, a crippling fear of tight spaces, a crippling fear of blood, and a crippling fear of objects covered in small holes. Is there anything
that one was my favorite.
Doesn't?
That one was my favorite.
That's actually apparently that's a fairly common fear.
Objects covered in small holes is a common fear.
If there's a name for it, I think tryptanophobia or something like that. It's like pictures of like a lotus leaf or like what looks like, you know, skin covered in little holes with worms crawling in it, or like, I don't
I
know.
wouldn't exactly call that common. Like spiders, bats,
Sure, that's pretty common.
those are common, but
Okay, not common,
No.
but, you know,
not obscure either.
not
you know?
obscure. Yeah, we'll go in the middle. But what is she not afraid of? Like, really?
Children,
All right, kids.
Hillary Clinton.
But she didn't vote for Hillary Clinton. We find out in the episode.
Yeah,
She didn't trust her.
that's true.
Well,
Who can trust any politician? Let's
You can't.
be real.
You really can't. Any career politician, you
well,
cannot trust.
the only time you can trust a politician is when they call each other liars.
That is the only time they're actually not being liars. It's the politics paradox.
Mm-hmm.
You can boil your brain out
Anyway.
thinking about that one. Anyway,
Let's talk about this damn therapist that she went to.
I like him. I
Okay,
forget
so
the
this
actor's
guy,
name, but I like him.
another returning actor.
Mm-hmm.
He's been in a couple of seasons recently. I think they're going to keep on. And he's a good actor. I don't know the actor's name. But he says to her, oh, you know what? Maybe you should, get off social media and just, take yourself out of the world. Don't do that. Because this is another problem. When people don't go out into the world and see what the damn problems are.
Yeah. I mean, his approach of take some time away from social media just to recharge, your batteries, basically, recuperate, don't constantly see all the negativity being flung around. Just take care of you first.
Work out,
I got
eat
that.
some nice,
Yeah.
nice healthy food.
I got his point, do this, do that, work on yourself, take this mild anti-anxiety med because, hey, you need it, and go from there. And I thought all was well. She's going shopping. I'm like, hey, good for you. You're getting out. You're going shopping, all that stuff.
And there's nobody in the store.
Like, yeah, it's kind of, where are they? They're in Michigan, I think?
They're in Michigan. The premise of the reason for the store being empty was because it was during the president's speech and everybody was sitting home watching the speech. But that's not what really happens out in the world.
No.
No, nobody just doesn't go to the damn store with the one worker there. No, I would have got, I had gone into the store, there's fucking nobody, and one person at the register. I would have gone home family, I'm sorry, they were out of food, I don't know what happened.
But see, this is where the speculation gets interesting. Did that happen? Or is that in her head? And it could go either way at this point.
No. My answer to your, either or question is yes. It did happen, and it is in her head. Now, she went to the store to go shopping, and she threw a bunch of bottles around and all that. That did happen because, Ivy, her wife, said, the police said you were screaming in the aisles and throwing bottles of rosé.
The good wine.
And, I mean, I know crippling fears are that crippling and irrational, and no logic enters into the equation, but, it would be, she's got to think, what kind of a town do you live in that there's a guy in a triple dick clown mask riding a scooter through, your supermarket while two other clowns fuck each other in the produce section?
Well, we are talking about the American Horror Story, but she doesn't realize she's in the show.
Well, I don't think that this was all in her head. I think this actually happened, and the store clerk may have been covering this up. Because we later see these same clowns that her son is seeing.
Mm-hmm.
So
the son sees them too, and I doubt maybe the son is delusional just like she is, but
maybe
to see the same thing, like a shared delusion,
and the damn horny
apart,
clowns.
I can understand shared illusions together. You may both think you saw the same thing. I had an incident where I'm not sure if this is real or not. But me and my girlfriend at the time were riding down a road, and all of a sudden, this white thing shot straight up, out of the ground, and it didn't have arms or anything. The best way for me to describe it is a wacky inflatable arm flailing tube man that goes from dead to full, whatever, and then it shot back down and disappeared. Now, I sat there, we're driving, I'm in the passenger seat, I'm driving, and I just went, and it took me like 20 to 30 seconds to be able to react. And I just turned to her and I go, "Did you see that?" And she goes, "I don't want to talk about it." And we just kept going. So clearly we both saw something. We both shared something that we saw. But did I actually, like, is that, I don't know what I saw, but that's like a shared, I call it a shared delusion because there was no logical explanation for that.
No, and I'm still trying to figure out the logical explanation of you saying how you're in the passenger seat but you're driving.
So we were driving.
He
You said
did
you
say,
were driving.
he said, I heard what Jake heard. Anyway, I mean, I did have
It was a shared delusion.
I had a similar experience with a couple of friends driving home from somewhere, and we're here in New York on Staten Island, driving on a main road, and the three of us saw what could only be described as a scarecrow shambling across the road. So, my one friend Rob yelled, "Step on the fucking gas." I did. I broke the speed limit for about a minute, and then slowed down, stopped for a red light, and then, someone, I forget who else was in the car, said, "Was that a fucking scarecrow crawling across the road?" So, yeah, random weird shit like that. But
yeah, and I can't say for sure, "Oh yeah, that definitely happened," but it's like that, I don't know.
Now,
like, I know what I saw, but at the same time, I wasn't under the influence of anything. I wasn't drinking. I wasn't on anything. I wasn't, and do I believe that was a ghost that shot up out of the ground? No. I just can't explain it. So I get maybe she saw some stuff. Maybe she's having delusions. But for her son to see the same thing separately?
Now,
no, I don't buy it.
Here was my running theory I'm going with. And I'm going to be dead wrong. I'm usually dead wrong, especially when it comes to this show. But my running theory is
Who's the
that...
Supreme?
Shut up. Is that it's some kind of supernatural element at play. She sees them, freaks her the shit out. He sees them because, he inherited whatever it is. And that Twisty thing wasn't a comic. It was really happening because the guy shot Twisty and nothing happened. And this is just a whole thing of, like, ghostly supernatural clowns, kind of like all those colonists were last season. Like the Butcher and all them.
What I'm hoping is the comic book is cursed.
Oh.
So, because he read it, she clearly saw the cover.
Ooh.
Her wife didn't really look at it one way or the other, just kind of threw it in the drawer. So she's not having delusions. That's kind of what I'm thinking. But I don't know.
That would be pretty cool.
Well, let's think about this. The title of the season, it's cults. So what is this cult? What does it consist of? What do they want? Some people are saying, well, it's this cult of clowns. Well, what do the clowns want to do? Why are they clowns? And then we have this connection with Twisty. What's he all about? And is he returning in corporeal form? I don't know. Or is he just going to be in this comic book? So I want to see how all these things connect. And why are they all here? There needs to be a reason for these clowns.
I'm hoping it's Twisty's cult. That's what I'm hoping.
Yes, which I think that's the running theory right now between everybody, that like it's a cult worshipping Twisty. And some people have said that this cult is trying to revive Twisty, which I think would be cool. Because we barely got him back in season 4. We got him for like 3 episodes.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was plastered all over the fucking marketing.
He's a very memorable character, yeah.
He's very memorable, but like I was just disappointed.
No.
Yeah, I 100% agree. That's why I was really excited that he was coming back.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I do like the look of these new clowns. The costume department and like whoever makes those masks, good on you. And I like the little subtle like it looks like freckles from afar, but if you look up close on those masks, they're actually holes on their faces. Clever. So I like to see them play with fears, especially how they portray these clowns. These clowns actually, they look creepy, but I couldn't help but laugh at a thought that just came into my head. So they were in the grocery store, and and they're fucking against the produce section, and I get it. Like, it's supposed to be creepy and like disgusting because like it's not sensual or it's not trying to be sexy. It's supposed to be raw and filthy, and it's supposed to make you uncomfortable. But I just and then we had the clown outside of the boys' room, and they're still trying to be sexy, and it's supposed to be creepy. But I just find myself laughing because like I just imagine clowns trying to be sexy and failing really hard at it. So like we got pelvic thrusts and like boob twerking and pussy popping, and it's like the clowns think that they're trying to think that they're being sensual, but like they're failing. It's like watching like a white woman dance at the wedding.
Yeah.
Wow. I guess.
I mean, or the other thing is these clowns could have really been in the grocery store, not even as spirits. They could have been an actual group of people there, and the clerk, who's the only one there, covered it up.
Because he's probably in their cult.
Yeah.
Maybe he was one of those clowns.
Maybe. But
that clown that was like skating around the store. I mean, I would be terrified too if a clown was like coming at me on a skateboard. Like, I'm not really afraid of clowns, but like if a clown is fucking chasing me in the dark with a chainsaw, then yeah, I'm gonna be terrified.
No, of course. Well, I'm curious how Mr. Kai there is involved with the clowns, because he shows up, duded out in a suit and, nice hairdo, to
Very
a city
nice.
council meeting. And they're...
Kind of like, I get a Heath Ledger vibe, Joker vibe from him.
You know what, I
And
kind of did
that's
too.
not just because of the stringy hair.
Yeah. He shows up, the only one who wants to speak out about a measure they're about to vote on, whatever it is. And he rambles on about the power of political fear and how they can use that to their advantage. And he's basically advocating anarchy.
Mm-hmm.
And, let the crazy shit happen. Let people kill each other. Let this, let that, then whatever. And then, the strong will rise from the ashes and lead all the survivors in a better way.
To some people, anarchy may seem like a really good idea. The problem with anarchy, in that regard, I'm not saying I'm for anarchy, but I'm saying there are people, and I can understand why some people would be for it. But the problem with anarchy is it always 100% of the time leads to a dictatorship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yep. Well,
one person will rise amongst the others and build, his people of, his tower of power, and be on top. It's always going to turn into that. So
Yeah,
anarchy doesn't work for that reason.
Well, anarchy, there's kind of a romantic appeal to anarchy that people like. And, it's fun to think about, and it makes for great horror movies, but yeah, it's not how life works. And y'all gonna die if you want to do that, because everyone thinks they're the baddest, everyone thinks they're the strongest, and then you dead.
Yeah.
yeah. And, I mean, the reason I'm asking how is Kai involved, because one of the city council members is Tom, the neighbor of Allie and Ivy.
And I'm like, yeah, you're gonna die.
Tom winds up dead with his wife later in the episode to a
Because
pack
it was
of
a
clowns.
murder-suicide. No, it was a murder-suicide. What are you talking about?
Before we get to that, we need to talk about Winter, Kai's sister.
Mm-hmm.
Are they
Yes,
brother and sister?
They are brother and sister. I had to look this up.
Wait, okay.
Because Kai was in the basement humping the TV, and then he went upstairs to her room, dressed, covered in Cheetos.
Well,
Yeah.
that doesn't mean they are brother and sister.
Well, I don't think they're partners or anything like that.
No.
No, that's not what I'm saying.
Or
But they could
maybe
be.
they are.
They could
Nope.
be. But they could be stepbrother and stepsister.
Oh,
They don't.
okay.
We don't know their exact relation, because if it is stepbrother stepsister, it's
Sibling.
still weird, but it's less weird. Because if you've ever seen Cruel Intentions,
Yeah.
we know that the plot exists elsewhere.
Yeah, it's gross.
We what I looked up says they are brother and sister. So
Okay.
we'll
That doesn't
see
mean
where that
blood.
goes.
It's,
Right. Anyway, I mean, regardless of whether they're blood brother, step brother, stepsister, or twin,
They're really
fraternal
close.
twins or whatever, They got a really weird relationship.
Yeah. And funny enough, Winter reminds me more of Evan Peters' character from season 1 of American Horror Story
That's
than anything.
probably on
Yeah.
purpose.
Yeah.
Well, anyway,
Um,
Winter, she quit school to help the Hillary campaign.
Mm-hmm.
And
What about
now,
Dr.
yeah, this whole scene, like, she, her and her brother are doing this little, tell the truth thing, and it keeps cutting back and forth to her audition to be Abby and Ivy's nanny.
Yeah.
Ew.
And I like the dynamic of it too, because they're on opposite ends of the political spectrum, you know?
Mhm. Well, yeah, at least Kai, Ivy, and Abby are, but I mean...
No, I mean brother sister. If that's
Oh, yeah,
what they
brother
are.
sister,
They're on,
yeah.
They're on opposite ends of the spectrum. That makes an interesting dynamic.
Exactly. And, I mean, they hire Winter because she seems like the perfect, the perfect babysitter for a modern family like that.
Of course.
And then they go out and,
This is a two-mommy family.
it's like,
So,
hey, sees Twisty the Clown comics, like, you ever seen a real dead body before? No. It's like, dark web, here we come. It's like, whatever websites are out there with all those crazy gore
don't
videos.
do that. You're gonna get a virus on your computer.
I mean, she's showing a 9-year-old lots of blood and gore and people dying, and great babysitter.
Yeah, the dark web.
And her
I mean,
her
can't they
rationalization.
check the history on this damn thing?
Not if she covered her tracks.
Maybe.
I mean, yeah. But
They should have an anti-cam. Maybe they do have an anti-cam. We just
Maybe.
don't know that.
but anyway, she
If not, they might be putting one in.
they should be putting one in after this night, because this night involves their neighbors getting murdered.
Yeah.
And hey, the kid told the truth. He saw an ice cream truck pull up, a bunch of clowns got out, they went into the house, her babysitter took him over there. He looked in the window and saw the clown slice Tom's throat and start drawing symbols on the wall in his blood and all this other fun stuff.
And we don't know if those symbols are there because that was not mentioned in the murder-suicide case.
Nope.
Would
But that detective was
imagine...
being-
It dissolved into the wall and went to a different.
I mean, if it really happened, we don't... See, that's the thing. We don't know if it actually happened or not because Winter is telling a completely different story.
Thus, the police are in on it too.
So...
And I don't
it's either that this is in their heads and it's a result of, say, the comic book or something like that, and they're hallucinating and they're sharing the same clowns from the hallucination, or it's a cover up between Kai and Winter, because if Kai is involved and he's organizing this, and Winter would know about it, maybe. And, they could cover their tracks.
and yeah, exactly.
If it is all in their head, I hope they have a damn good explanation about why they're hallucinating this shit. Because
Yeah.
I'm gonna be fucking pissed if you don't.
Yep.
Well, that's why I said, like, having a cursed comic or something would be a great explanation for that.
Why is it? No, I'd like to know why it's cursed and how.
don't
It,
even-
Well, that's something that they get
so
into.
if that is something that they're going to do, I'd like you to explain
Yeah.
why that is and
could
how
be-
it connects to other seasons.
It could be something like, well, I think Twisty itself is what connects to the other seasons.
Because we know the fate of Twisty. We know what happened to him.
But it could be like the cult's.
Into
It
that.
could be almost like the cult's Bible. Like the stories of Twisty or something like that. And it could be something as simple as the ink from the comic is mixed with Twisty's blood or something ridiculous, Because, like, I forget what Saw movie it was. One of the Saw movies, I think it was Saw 2, if I'm not mistaken, the poster was released in a limited supply of 10,000 copies, and it was partially mixed with Tobin Bell's actual blood, small trace amounts of it, but they went that far. So they could do something like that, and do all the Twisty comics that are printed have a small portion of his blood, and that's why they're cursed. They could do something. So
Now, with them doing that, if that is in fact what they're doing, what's their goal? Why make the comic?
Like
why
you said, it could be to resurrect Twisty.
Yeah, but like, why do they want? What is the purpose of killing this politician? What's the purpose of sending out these comic books if they are the ones who are publishing them or writing them?
The purpose of sending out the comics could be to gain people for their cult, because as they see it, then they start becoming part of it.
Or is it like a thing how it was in Freddy vs. Jason, where people had forgotten about Freddy, and that's why he stays dead?
It could be something like that too.
Very possible. But I mean, the last bit we get is, all this clown talk, and then Abby's laying down in bed, opens her eyes, and there's one of the clowns. And then, cut the credits.
I don't think any of these clowns have names, so I'm just going to give them names.
I mean, a review I read called him Triple Dong Face. That's the name I adopted.
I'm not going to adopt that. That is a fucking stupid-ass name. My name.
But it's the only way I can tell this clown apart right now from the others, so Triple Dong Face until we get a better name.
I'm going to call him Pinocchio.
Pinocchio. There's a better name, so that is what we're going to use.
The one with the holes in his face, I'm going to call him Mr. Needles.
Pincushion.
Yeah, or Pincushion. Oh, that's a nice name.
Pincushion.
Pinpin. I'm going to call him Pinpin.
Then we'll figure out the rest as we go. Anyway, an idea for why they would kill this politician is actually shown in the, preview for next episode.
Mm-hmm.
And that has Evan Peters' character, Kai, on the news, running for city council.
Yay!
So, I'm going to imagine that the whole thing was to open up a seat so he can attempt to have some political power.
Well, you certainly got some people on your side, dude.
And spread the fear. And resurrect the clown.
I mean, and I think the foreshadowing of election night is kind of anything could happen. So it wouldn't be out of the realm of possibility for Kai to get a seat.
Yeah. Now, a couple things I forgot to mention. One is Kai walking down the street, and he hears the conversation Abby and Ivy are having, and he just, throws coffee at them.
What the fuck was this shit?
Well...
Dude, why you gotta be that way?
I know a couple of people who would do that.
Yeah.
And I know one person who would do that for the exact reason that he did it. So,
I mean, I know why he did it, but, dude...
Someone I work with. So...
No, I meant the reason.
Oh, well, I'm guessing they were having a, conversation about the election, and how, how could he win, how could this happen, if, and... Oh, yeah, that was the moment they were having the conversation, you didn't vote, it was as good as voting for him, voting for him. It's like, but I couldn't vote for her, I just didn't trust her, and, well, and however they said it, and that's when he threw the coffee at them.
Yeah.
And, the other scene is when he shows up. This is going to lead into his little political thing. He shows up to a group of Mexicans.
My family, what are you doing in this episode?
Singing La Cucaracha while pissing into a condom and then throwing it at them. Now, I get that these guys were confused. Here's a guy singing La Cucaracha, a white guy, in the middle of the night, peeing into a condom. As soon as he was done peeing into the condom, it would have hit me in the head, he's gonna throw a balloon full of piss at you. And, they stood there and it happened and they were kind of surprised. And then they proceeded to beat the shit out of him.
So you wanted to get hit.
And who was filming him?
His sister, probably.
Probably
his sister. So, there we go.
If not, then maybe the rest of the cult members.
And he's going to use that as, some political leverage, white kids get beaten up by a group of Mexicans.
And here's the thing, you know, and here lies the problem. We didn't see the whole damn situation that had happened. So show me the receipts, dude. Show me the receipts.
I like that. Yeah, exactly.
We're going to be using that phrase a lot this season.
Show me the receipts.
It's
Show me the receipts.
setting up for, you know, unfair stereotypes. You know, like, and I don't even like using the word stereotype because it's not really the real. There's no stereotype in which Mexicans run around and beat people up.
No,
you know?
and of course, the film is just going to show that they're jumping a guy, and 5 of them are beating on him. Of course, the film is not going to show that guy throwing a condom full of piss at them.
Yeah,
but
what if somebody else recorded
I mean,
that?
hell, you creatively film or edit something, and you can create a context. You know, the news does it all the fucking time. Anyway, thinking. I don't know if we missed anything this episode. I think that scene was the last thing we didn't talk about, really.
yeah.
We're going to keep going here.
Can we talk about the opening credits?
Yes.
You know, the opening credits, you know, they're always like the best part of the show. I
did like the theme, like the music. I like the changes to that, how it was done in more of like a political type of like.
It sounded
Americana.
It sounded like it was an altered hail to the chief.
Yeah.
Yeah. But let's talk about the imagery because there's a lot of these things with like bees and, you know, beehives, which is like it's a metaphor, hive mind. And we have this there's a in the title sequence there's a dog and the gas and the guy holding dog. No, let's not do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's not.
Most of the time what we see in the title card though aren't things that are actually in the thing. They're just
they're not
metaphors and symbolism for things, and that's always not clear until later in the season. And sometimes it's not clear ever.
No.
You really have to like go deep down the rabbit hole to try to figure some of these out. And like I think you nailed it with the bees being the hive mind and that's probably what that is. But yeah, I don't know what some of the rest of it. Obviously, there was political masks and blood and things like that in there.
Carousel.
Yeah,
terrifying.
And I definitely don't think the actual election, like the real election stuff, is over. I feel like we're still gonna dive into a lot of that.
Well, that's gonna be the backdrop for most of the horrifying stuff that's gonna happen. Because a lot of times in American Horror Story, the settings and the time periods are the backdrops for the characters' interactions and how they deal with the shit that's going on. So I'm excited. As far as first episodes go for this show, it's one of my favorites.
As far as first episodes go, it might actually be one of the better, if not the best, second best for me.
This to me is my favorite since season 1. Just based off this one episode, though.
I don't know how the rest of the series is going to play out, the rest of the season. And
well, I hope it's good.
I've had seasons that have... Last season, I actually enjoyed a lot more than I thought I would.
I enjoyed last season. Well, I enjoyed the former half of last season.
Yeah, second half of last season was much better.
There were some cool things that happened in the season, things that I will remember. And, you know, that season to me, last season, to me at least, was the most terrifying.
It was easily one of the more creepy for me last season.
Yeah.
I mean, Hotel is... I mean, I got to go back and watch them all again. Right now, Hotel is my favorite. I don't know why.
I don't know. I'm not
fondest memories, I guess, of talking about it. Maybe I don't know.
Well, I love me some Lady Gaga, but like it was.
I'm gonna go out there right now, and I'm gonna tell you my least favorite, and don't jump down my throat quite yet, because let me finish. My least favorite is Coven, for the reason being is it didn't feel like there was any element of horror to it.
Nope.
It was about the witches and stuff like that. I did like that season. I really did, just not as a horror show. If it
I
was,
like Coven
if it was a
because of the
completely
writing.
different show, just called Coven, I would have been totally cool. I would have been like, "Oh, this is a great show. I love it. I want to see more of it."
Mm-hmm.
But in terms of American Horror Story, I did not like it.
No.
It's probably my lowest one on there, followed by, or just before it would be Asylum, and then just before that would be the circus one, whatever that one was. Freak Show.
Or Twisted, that is.
And then, I don't remember the other one, but my two favorites is number one is the first season, Murder House, and then followed by this one, and then Roanoke, and then whatever the other. There's one missing. Hotel fits right in the middle of all of them.
Well, I can't place this one just yet. It's only the first episode.
Yeah, I can't
Among
place the
first
season.
episode.
Yeah,
Among the
I'm basing
episodes
it
of
off
the
just this
season,
one
I like
episode, but yeah.
But
I would say this is my third favorite first episode of the season.
now, my whole the point I was making was I've had seasons start high and end low of this show, and I've had seasons start low and end high. You know, like for me, Freak Show didn't end high. It
No,
you know
because of the shit you pulled at the end of that show. I will never forgive you for that.
who me?
No, I'm talking about the damn show, because this
Oh.
show can't do finales for shit.
Right, exactly. So Freak Show ended very low for me. Hotel ended pretty high. I liked Hotel, but you know, as far as openers go, this is definitely the one I'm most. I'll admit it. The last like 2 weeks going into this, like, oh, we're about to be doing American Horror Story again. We're gonna be talking about it.
Action,
And I'm like, no. And then I heard all the
but
people
twisty.
talking about it after it aired. I didn't watch it until this afternoon, and it's going through, and I'm just like, I'm not gonna like this. I'm not gonna talk about it tonight. And then I watch it, and I'm like, oh, that was dead
Well,
fucking
where
wrong.
where was the point where that changed for you?
About 15 minutes in, I'd say. I actually got interested, and I paid
Probably around the time
intent.
she started hallucinating, yeah.
Yeah, it
Well,
was about that
that's
time.
when-
Yeah.
That's when the scary shit started happening.
Yeah.
And- which is what I love which is what I miss from this show, the fucking scary shit. Because like I've been fucking tired of sexy American Horror Story. I don't want that shit.
I agree. 100% agree. And that's,
I'm with
like
you
I
on
said,
that.
that's my biggest problem with Coven.
That's my biggest problem with Coven and Hotel, and I do fucking love Coven. I love that. Well, I
Yeah.
love Coven because of the writing and the characters, not because of any other element of that season.
For once, me and Jake are 100% agreement on something.
Yeah, and then I will fight you on Asylum because Asylum is my favorite season. For me, it goes Asylum, then Coven.
I'm
Then
just not a fan
out.
of the time period, is what it comes down to.
I like
That's
it.
personal. That's personal preference. That we
my
can't
preference
argue
is
about that.
upholstery. So
Yeah.
Right.
and that would place Freak Show higher for Hotel for me because I personally think Freak Show is the worst season, but in terms of my list, it's probably number 4 after the first season. Then it'll be Roanoke, then Hotel. This one I'm waiting to see where I'll probably place it, but it looks like it's going to be good because I like the themes that they're tackling. I like where this cult of clowns could possibly go. I see potential.
And the reason I'm liking it so much is real shit that just happened. Like, I mean, first episode
So
alone.
don't fuck it up.
Right. They're basing the whole premise of their story about, can't even say modern history. We could say, it's last year.
Now.
Now.
It's now, yeah.
It hasn't even been a year. So, like...
But it's interesting to see what kind of issues they will tackle because this is not... I mean, I guess it's current issues, but, like, this was written a year ago.
Right. I mean, but all the other seasons, it's like, oh, this is set, it's based off of a similar account of, like, Asylum, of someone locking himself in asylum for 10 days and seeing what's really going on, or, the witchy, it's like, oh, this is like a coven of witches in New Orleans, this one they ground it in reality, straight off the bat.
Well, as much as they with
physically,
clowns
in the
fucking
first...
the-
No, I mean, in the first 5 minutes of the episode, they severely ground this story in current events. And then they go and tell the story. And
I
maybe
mean,
that's why I'm hooked.
I remember sitting down on election night and looking out the window and watching an ice cream truck go by. So yeah, they got this dead on.
Shit.
There's probably an ice cream truck going by here too. I don't even know.
I have a really annoying ice cream truck that goes
Then you
by
went to the
and plays
grocery
music.
store.
It goes like so slow down my street that I want to like get out and push it. I feel like I could push it faster than it drives.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I want an ice cream truck chase scene in the next coming episodes.
And maybe we'll get that. Next episode is called Don't Be Afraid of the Dark. I wish I had a synopsis for you. I couldn't find one. I found 2 previews. One was a preview for next week's episode, and one was a preview for the whole season, which they always seem to do, like, this season
I
of
don't
American
like that.
Horror Story.
I don't like when they do that.
No, especially if they're showing a scene from, like, episode, like, say it's a 13-episode season, they're showing episode 11. How many episodes is this season? Is it short like last season?
I don't know.
I'm gonna go off and say that there's not gonna be any synopsises for this series at all.
I don't think there weren't any last year.
There wasn't for the first episode because on my DVR, I go through and I read the synopsis before I watch the episode. There was no synopsis on my DVR.
Not for last season.
Hey, I'm okay with that. Keeps the mystery.
Well, I liked the mystery last year when they were doing it, and like they didn't know and nobody knew what the fuck they were doing, and I don't even think they knew what they were doing. Like, yeah, we filmed this shit, and we still don't know what it was.
Okay.
But I think when you hype it up like that, and what happened that season was like, if you like the first half, like that's great, but then you don't get that the second half. And if you like the second half, you didn't get that in the first half, so then you got a season that's not really for anybody. So there's always a shift with
right.
American Horror Story.
And I prefer, as far as talking about next episode, I prefer no synopsis far over vague synopsis or over dramatized.
Yeah.
Like, if you've ever watched our Ages of S.H.I.E.L.D. podcast, it's a running damn joke of their over-dramatized synopsis. If you watch our Game of Thrones, it's a running joke over how they give you a 10-word synopsis. Like,
Yeah.
Well, I just hope they don't reveal too much, because there are some things that, I mean, I don't care about spoilers, but like it's more impactful if we don't know the things that are coming. And fucking with Freak Show, you didn't have to show me the lady baby drowning in the formaldehyde. You didn't have to do that, but you did.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm curious because I don't think so, but because this episode was called Election Night, and there's no connotation to other than the fact that it's taking place on Election Night. But I mean, the title has no outside significance, like "Don't Be Afraid of the Dark" does. That's an actual movie. So I wonder what the title theme is going to be from that, because I just googled really quick to see if Election Night was a horror movie somewhere, and it's not. There was an indie movie, but it was a comedy. But yeah, no, there's no horror movie named Election Night, so I don't know.
That doesn't necessarily mean there is a theme to the titles. It'd be cool if there were. But
Yeah.
Well,
it could just be whatever sounds cool.
We'll see. I mean, some shows do that. Maybe this
One whole
too.
season of the Vampire Diaries did 90s song titles, you know.
Yeah. Anyway, I believe that's our show, though. Talked to death about this. It was a very good first episode. The season has great potential right now. So, I mean, for me right now, the only two things is they can hold this level or they can just... And I'm really hoping they don't do that. And I really hope they stick with the not taking a political stance on the whole thing.
I 100% agree. I think that was the beauty of this one. There's a little biasism, for sure. But it's not over the top.
It's very difficult to avoid, unfortunately.
Well, they point out the things that are obvious to point out. And that's all we really need.
You know what?
Don't to like
I saw a good related post on Facebook today. They pull a George Carlin. They point it out to you.
Yeah.
Like, you know, this is really stupid. Here's why. And, you know, they're not doing it that bluntly, but that's kind of what they do. They're just pointing it out.
Yeah.
without actually
mean, like,
taking a stance.
I'm sure there's some people that got offended that they like Trump supporters that got offended that they did the Cheeto face thing. I'm sure there's people out there that got
come on.
offended from that.
It's a joke.
But yeah, it's clearly a joke. Me politically, I don't fall onto either side of the spectrum. I'm dead center. I know when a politic is wrong. Like I'm one of the few people I think out there that can be like, Trump is doing some good things, but he's doing a lot of bad things. Some of it is good, but there's most people out there is either, oh, he's fantastic, and they list off everything, and they're like, he's perfect, perfect, perfect. And then other people out there are like, he's wrong, does nothing good, nothing good. I fall dead center. I think it was hilarious, the Cheeto thing. You know, so people have to lighten up a little bit. That's what it comes down to. I think they did a great job being biased, though. So
The world needs to lighten up.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, that's our show. Thank you all for watching. Dom, where can they find you?
You can find me down below at Phenomenon, PHENOMEDOM.
Cool. Jake, where can they find you?
You can find me and all of my giggles and gore and monsters and mayhem here on YouTube at Jacob Salazar, or you can find me on Twitter, tweeting me throughout the week, throughout the life at TNoWhereland. That is TONOWAGRELAND. Join the Nowhereland Society.
Mike, where can people find you?
I would say, Dom, we need outros. Seriously. Holy shit, you can find me on Twitter at Diligent. That's it. I got nothing else. You can find all of us on Facebook, Twitter, Gmail, Google+, MySpace, and YouTube at ASOTV Podcast. You can follow us at those places for some more podcasts for some of your favorite TV shows, movies, and games. Thank you all for watching. Stay tuned for American Horror Story and stuff.
Thanks.
And clowns.